Hi guys, Donovan Goodwin here. In today's video we're going to be installing Teensy TinyBASICPlus on our Teensy 3.2. The procedures we're going to be going through today actually are on Linux. However, most of what I'm talking about today is completely cross-platform and can be done on any computer in general. So what you're going to want to do is navigate to this site. I'll have a link to it in the description. It is the GitHub IO page. And you just want to click download zip. And that will download the latest code and compiled binary. Then we'll just exit out of here. Now, I'd recommend opening up your Arduino IDE right now and plugging in your Teensy 3.2. Then we'll navigate to our downloads folder and extract it. Once you've extracted the zip, you should have a folder that you can go into. Now there are a couple of different files and folders here. The docs folder contains website stuff for the GitHub IO website. You don't really need to worry about that, and if you want to go and see it and mess around with it, be my guest, go ahead. The staging folder contains staging code, so non-stable, and the Teensy TinyBASICPlus Arduino folder contains the actual Arduino source code here. So that's the file you'll be opening up in your Arduino IDE. Before we open that up, you need to understand that we also have a compiled binary if you were wanting to flash that way. Now the compiled binary was compiled in the 120 megahertz overclock and the US locale. So keep that in mind. If you're in a different locale, then I would recommend compiling using the Arduino IDE and going that route. That might be much more easy. Now, the README.md file is a great reference for commands that you can do, some example programs that you can load up, and it's really just an all-around good FAQ. So those are all the basic files. Release notes, pretty self-explanatory there. So what you're going to want to do to begin, I'll show you guys how to both upload using the source code and upload by flashing the hex. So we'll go over here to our Arduino IDE, click File, Open, and we'll go to our Downloads folder, select the folder we just extracted, and it is the Teensy TinyBASICPlus-Arduino folder. As you will see, it's right here. We can just click on Open, and it's going to complain about not being in the right folder. I don't know why it's so picky about what folder it's in, but here it is. So it's version 1.3.1 that this video is being based on. However, there shouldn't be too much change between the versions that it would require a new video, but when it does, I will be sure to make a new video. Now you can go in here, we'll just expand this here, and you can go and totally mess with all this code, do whatever you want with it. It's yours. And you can do whatever you want. Now, if you're wanting to do some bug testing for us, then feel free. One of the biggest things we need tested right now is the SD card capability. So before we flash that, let me show you if I can find it. Let me show you how to help test with SD cards. What you need to do is uncomment this and comment this line. Define enable file IO 1. This will allow you to use your SD card. Now there's a couple of other parameters. If you go down a little bit further, right here. So if defined enable file IO, it will include this. Now you need to change this or kind of adjust the actual library to your SD card and do some other stuff. As you can see, the card select is 10. I mean, there's a lot of different parameters you can do for this sd.h library. So I would recommend kind of going through, if you've already gotten your SD card working previously, go ahead and try and apply those parameters that you used before. right here, and that will help you to hopefully get this up and running so that we can actually kind of bug test this and get the feature out to everybody. There is a gentleman, if you go to the GitHub page and you go to the Issues tab, should be the first person there who is currently doing the bug testing for us, and has been an absolute total gem. And so he's been helping out with that, and kind of he shows his endeavors going throughout this, and kind of what you need to change. And so definitely go and check that out. I will warn you, some of his English is just kind of broken, but it's a very easy to understand. It's not a big deal at all. So definitely go and check that out to see if there's something that you can learn from that. If you're not wanting to bug test or do anything like that, you just want to get started, well, here we are. So before I upload this, I'm actually going to disable the file IO, and we need to select our Teensy 3.2, which we plugged in earlier. What I'd like to do is make sure the CPU speed is set at 120 megahertz. This is what we test at our testing, and it's what we leave it on. So this we know for a fact works 100%. Now you can try any of the other ones to save power, do whatever. It's completely up to you to test this yourself. But just so you know, 120 megahertz works for sure. Now the keyboard layout doesn't really matter too much. USB type serial is what you want, and make sure obviously that you have the Teensy 3.2 selected as the board. So once you make sure everything's good here in the tools, then you can just hit upload. Now it'll take a little bit longer to compile than most other sketches for the Arduino IDE, but it will compile. And as you can see, the Teensy Loader application opened, and it was flashed correctly. Now you may notice down here in the bottom it says low memory available. Stability problems may occur. I know that sounds super scary, but it's only because it has 3% of dynamic memory RAM left. Now you may be wondering why this sketch takes up that much RAM, which, I mean, it's 63,572 bytes, and that's a lot actually. Well, the way we've kind of put together this interpreter operating system is we actually have the overhead handle all of the RAM inside our shell, inside of our basic operating system. So what will happen is we've only allocated, we can come down here and I'll show you, we've only allocated 60,000 bytes for RAM. So that's how much you can use, full stop. You can't use anything more than that. That's all you get. So you never can go above that limit, so therefore you're never going to have stability problems. And we've basically left about 3% left just for operating system changes, which in all honesty probably would never even happen, because for operating system changes at that low of a level, you'd need to write some more code and flash it on that way, and there's not really much you can do to edit code while you're in the runtime. So you're not going to experience any issues. Don't worry about that. So we can go through and test. It's actually been flashed. So I'll open up my Teensy and close out of my old tabs here. Start fresh. And we'll go here to screen/dev/ttyacm0. Now this is a serial port, and as you can see, we're already in. So Teensy TinyBASICPlus version 1.3.1. You got that 58,666 bytes free, and you're basically ready to rock. Now you may be wondering about EEPROM. Now I'll show you guys. It's really, really cool. I've already got a program saved on EEPROM, and whenever you flash, it doesn't matter if you're flashing using the Arduino IDE or the Teensy Loader application, but it will still flash, and it will not erase your EEPROM. So if we do elist, we can see we have a program. It's actually a Blink program. So we will run eload, and that loads it into our runtime memory RAM, and list again. and as you can see, it's there. You can then do run, and it will run. So it just blinked 10 times. One of the other things that we fixed was the input command. So input x, and x will equal 100, and I didn't mean to do list, but we'll do print x, and x equals 100. So it's really, we fixed the input command, and there's a couple of other code changes, and the README is actually kind of out of date, so we're going to kind of be merging with BleuLlama's README for more updated commands, because we do try and base all of our major releases off of his releases, and that does seem to help a lot. So definitely want to thank BleuLlama, by the way, guys. This gentleman is absolutely incredible. His code is extraordinarily easy to read, and it takes a lot of developer skill to be able to forge code that can be read from anyone, and that can be modified by a developer such as myself. I'm not very extraordinary in any way, and so it's I consider it really, really cool when you have a developer that good working on a project like this in the open source space. So definitely go and take a look at that original project. I mean, go and compliment him. Go and tell him that his code is absolutely extraordinary, because it is, and I really appreciate his work. So we've really kind of just merged with his latest version on this version 1.3. So version 1.4 will most likely be the release where we finalize our SD card support, and we'll need a lot more bug testing for that. We also may not be able to finalize it in such a way that it works for everybody, because you plug your SD card, there's so many different SD card shields and that kind of stuff. So what we may need to do is, up at the top of the source code, we'll have to have a place where you can define all the different pins and stuff for your SD card shield, and that may work slightly better. But we're kind of just a little ways away from that, and we'll get there when we get there. So it's definitely a cool road. So before I go rambling on even more, let's go and I'll show you guys how to flash the bin file onto your Teensy. Now, the best way I figured out how to stop screen is to unplug your Teensy. So we'll just exit out here again. So we don't even need this anymore. We can just X out of here. But here's the Teensy loader, and that's what we need. So what we're going to do is select a bin file. Using that button there, you go to Downloads, Teensy 3.2, and it is this hex file right here. Now you can use auto, but I prefer not to use automatic mode. So I'll go and plug in my Teensy. Teensy is plugged in. I will deselect automatic mode, and then you hit the program button, and now your Teensy is completely locked and ready for uploading a bin file. So then we just click on this button here, program, download complete, and then we can just hit reboot. You can also turn on automatic mode again for the Arduino IDE, hit X, and let's take a look back on the terminal here. Screen/dev/tty acm 0, and it's here again. If we do elist, our EEPROM still has a program list. We don't have anything in our RAM. We can do eload and run, and it is going to blink, and yes, it is. So again, it works just fine, and that's how you flash using a bin file. Now I'll try and keep the bin file as updated as possible. It'll take slightly longer to push the commit for the bin file, just because it is a compiled binary after all. But yeah, definitely, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up. It definitely helps out a lot, and we'll be looking forward to seeing more videos, and I've got a lot of cool stuff planned, so definitely stay tuned for that on this channel. Make sure to subscribe if you're interested, And if you're viewing this video on the project page, thank you for stopping by and watching the tutorial. And I definitely have fun with this code. It's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see where this goes. Porting it over to the Teensy. I'm a very firm believer in the belief that the Teensy really is a Arduino replacement, and I definitely stand by that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and enjoy your evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I'll see you guys.